Welcome to it, guys. Tactiholics out here with the CZ2075. But before we get to the gun, as promised, this is the video that we're using for the PITBULL Tactical Bloodline or Bloodline Nocturnal holster giveaway. I'll go ahead and give you one quick look at that. Look at those lines. The craftsmanship does not get much better than that. Inside and outside the waistband loops included with it. They make the standard Bloodline, which does not include a weapon light, and they make the Bloodline Nocturnal. You can see has that flashlight bezel right there. The contest entry rules will be somewhere inside this video. Now, it's not going to be hidden, but I'm not going to tell you where it comes up. You got to find it, and then you got to follow the rules to be entered into the giveaway. Now let's go ahead and talk about this gun. The gun we're slinging today is the CZ2075D Rami. Before we start breaking this thing down, I want to give a big shout out to Victor, last name Anonymous. He's a huge fan of the channel, likes to support us. I ran into him at a range the other day. We put a couple magazines through this gun, and he was insistent on us trying it out, putting a high amount of rounds through it, and really giving some feedback, not only to him, but also to the rest of the followers. So big shout out to you, Victor. We really appreciate you loaning us your smoke wagon for the day. Let's start breaking this down. It is a 3-inch barreled all-metal frame, chambered in 9mm. We have two 10-round magazines. My understanding is that the gun is supposed to come with a 10 and a 14-round magazine. Well, Victor got this gun with two 10s, so I don't know if it's a California-compliant gun. You know, maybe came out of California, who knows. But it is chambered in 9mm. It's double single action with a one-sided decocking lever there on the back, just on the left thumb, like anything else. 3-dot night sights come factory, cold hammer forged barrel, and looking at the grip here, this grip is actually covered in rubber, so it's kind of odd. We're going to see how it goes when your hands get a little bit wet and slippery, see if that digs in quite as well as something like a G10 or more of a plastic polymer grip would. Kind of loose texturing on the back strap of the grip. On the front strap, there's decent checkering, so I'm excited to see how this thing really rides when we start putting it through its paces. But it's kind of a beefy little gun, I can tell you that right up front. You know, it is an all-metal gun. I like to carry SIGs. I'm a big fan of CZ firearms. You're going to pay for that, you know, that additional weight if this is your everyday carry gun. But it should help the small 3-inch barrel and subcompact frame ride nicely, even though it is just a 9mm. That additional weight never really hurts keeping felt recoil down. We got the Fat Boy steel target loaded up downrange from Tac Strike. We're going to go ahead and load this thing up and see how it goes. Come on. Got the 2075 loaded up here. Both 10-round magazines that we have in our possession are topped off for about 10 yards off the Fat Boy steel. We're going to go ahead and start out double action, like any good double single action gun should be run. You got to work both triggers. Let's go ahead and feel this thing out. Let's do the first mag, double action only, and see how it goes. All right, that's 5 rounds, double action only with both hands. The decocker's kind of weird, sort of in a weird spot for me because it's polar opposite, 180 degrees backwards from that on the SIG guns that I shoot. We're gonna go ahead and finish out the remaining 5 rounds, double action only, right hand only, and just see how it goes. So far, so good looking. Just like the rest of the CZs that you're going to see out there, the 2075 does have kind of that half slide profile compared to other guns, and that's because the frame rails for the slide are actually built into the slide rather than the gun. You can see right there on the back. So that keeps a really low bore access in your hand, especially for a double single action gun. When you look at something like SIGs, I take a lot of heat, and I agree with people that say the bore access is too high. You're absolutely right. It's pretty high bore access. So that's always been a big affinity of mine towards the CZ firearms, is how low they sit in your hand. One of the complaints that I've had in the past is when you hit slide lock and you're doing a mag change, you go to rack that slide, there's half the material there for you to grip your hand on. Obviously didn't have a problem with it so far, but we're going to go ahead and burn a couple rounds through it, or a few magazines through it, I should say, real fast, and see if we can't either be successful or maybe that half slide hinders us. Let's check it out. Having that beaver tail on there, as you guys know, I say it all the time, but it's true. It really lets me and anybody else out there really drive their hand back up into the back strap of that gun. Go ahead and close the slide here. The hammer's coming kind of close to my hand, but I haven't seemed to have gotten bit by it or anything yet, which is good, and it really helps you balance out that recoil. I did have a little bit of trouble right there hitting that slide, or racking that slide from slide lock on the fresh magazine. Part of that might be because this gun has been very freshly cleaned. It's very oily. You can see all the crud on my hands here. So it's getting a little bit slippery, but you haven't seen slippery yet. Stay tuned. Stretching it out here for a little bit of a distance accuracy test, or more so a test of my ability to run this trigger well. So far the trigger's behaving awesome. Reset is very short, very crisp, double action. I don't know the trigger weight. It feels like it's probably in the area of about 10 pounds. Single action's probably 4.5, you know, very common for a SIG or a CZ type of a gun. But I am gonna make the double to single action transition. I think we got 9 or 10 rounds loaded up in here, about 50 yards off the steel. So we're gonna go ahead and see how this goes. It goes like awesome. The more I shoot this gun, the more I really like it. So far, I mentioned the rubber grips on the back. So far, it hasn't proven to be any type of a problem at all, but I got a test in mind for that. My hands are sweaty. It's about 85 degrees out here, which is really hot to us here in Wisconsin. So the grips are getting wet, my hands are getting wet. Let's make it even wetter. There we go. Nice and wet on the hands there. 2 mags loaded up. Now let's see how it sticks. Ride's pretty good. I did have a little bit of an issue there with the slide, and I don't think that was necessarily due to the fact my hands being slippery, because I slipped off the back of the slide when, you know, my hands weren't really sweating that much right at the top side of this video. But what I did is again, that's the CZ slide. It's the half height slide, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But I didn't have enough really to paw across there. I think that, you know, people that shoot CZs can get really comfortable with that. I'm not. I don't shoot CZs very often, and that's always been a little bit of a downfall for me, but I think the cocking serrations that are on the back of the slide support the ability to get a really good rack and a really good drive on that slide. I'm just not used to it. So maybe it was the gun, probably it was me, but I don't see that as a huge deficit because I've seen plenty of people shoot CZs without that issue. So I wouldn't chalk that up to being the gun. I think that's just my bad. Final thoughts on the CZ 2075 Rami. Awesome little gun. Starting out with the very few bad things that I walked away from this review experiencing was the back strap and the front strap grip checkering. I wish that was a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit slippery. The rubber actually stuck really well when I dumped a bunch of water on my hands. I didn't feel any loss of traction there on the side grip panels, and having the beaver tail in the back certainly helped, you know, I guess minimize the perception of slipperiness on the back of the grip there. But overall, shooting the gun, I wish that there was a little bit more checkering on there, a little bit more texture on the front and back of the grip. The trigger is outstanding. I love the trigger on this gun. Like I said earlier, the more I shoot it, the more I want to keep shooting it. It's very crisp, it's very clean. There's a slight bit of take up after you hit the trigger reset, but both double and single action are butter smooth. It's awesome. The sights pick up really easy. The cost of these guns, you can find them anywhere, so I'm not going to throw out what it costs because somebody's going to say they can find it cheaper. But I do know that these things are pretty darn affordable, whether they have the decocker or the thumb safety. You're looking at quite a bit less money than most of your other CZs. And if you want a nice little double stack gun with a decent amount of capacity for carry, this is a great way to go if you're a double single action fan. The 3-inch barrel really didn't produce too much snap, being that it is a 9mm and an all metal frame. It really rode controllably, minimal amounts of felt recoil. The gun was never snapping up in my hand. Even shooting it one-handed, it rides like a pretty tame little beast. Really, the only other thing that I can say is I wish that CZ would have made a full-size grip on the bottom, similar to how Springfield did it with the EMP, a 3-inch barrel and a full-size grip. They didn't do that, so if you are running the flush fit magazines, you're going to lose, depending on your hand size, you're going to lose your pinky off the bottom of the grip of the gun there. That's something that I prefer not to have happen, so I was glad that we have these pinky extension base pads here on the magazine, if you guys can see that right there. That really helped keep the gun controllable, and I know some people are going to argue if you put a full-size grip on here, you're hurting your ability to conceal the gun. Yeah, you are, but a full-size grip probably only comes down to there. You're probably only adding an extra 3/4 of an inch to an inch on the bottom of the grip. That's something I would prefer, but being that they don't make the 2075 that way, my recommendation would be use that pinky extension, get great control on that gun. Heck of a gun. Love CZs. I'm really glad that this is the first one that we've had on the channel. It's kind of a unique, rare little unicorn gun, and it was really generous and awesome of Victor to offer us this gun just in sheer support for the channel. So Victor, shout out to you, man, one more time. We really appreciate running this gun. It's been a privilege, and if you're in the market for something in these lines, go check out the CZ 2075D Rami. Moment of truth for the PITBULL tactical holster giveaway. There's 3 things you gotta do. The first thing you have to do is subscribe to Tactiholics on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed or you don't have a YouTube channel or account, make one and subscribe to us. Second thing you gotta do is leave a comment below on this video telling us why you want a PITBULL holster and what gun you would put in it. Third and final thing you gotta do is get over to Facebook, look up PITBULL Tactical's page, and give them a like. So pretty straightforward. Subscribe to Tactiholics, comment below why you want the holster, for what gun you want it for, and like and follow PITBULL Tactical. The date of this video release is Tuesday, June 30th. The contest runs for 2 weeks, which means the contest will close Tuesday, July 14th at midnight. We're going to announce the winner here and in a separate video on July 16th. So what we're going to do is after we pick a winner, you're going to contact us. We're going to get you a gift certificate from PITBULL. You pick out the holster you want for the gun you want, the colors, all that good stuff. This is totally customizable. We're not putting any limitations on this thing here. So we're excited to see how this goes, guys. And thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to us here regardless of the contest. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. And check out our website, Tactiholics.com. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. And we never quit.